Welcome back to Against the Call, everyone. This is a special episode that we have planned here. We have Leo Rodriguez from the Sons of UCF podcast. He also has credentials with UCF to go to all the press conferences, the NFL Pro Day for UCF, and a bunch of other stuff. Leo, man, thank you so much for joining on today's episode. How's your day going so far?
And it's been great. It was well, thank you guys for having me on, first of all. I respect everything you guys are starting out with against the call and big fan of you guys so far. So keep it up. And no, this morning, man, we had spring 11, practice 11 for the football team. So our team was out there, Trace. I don't know if you guys know Trace, but
Yeah, yeah.
he's out there and he's active. He's getting videos of what's going on with the QB competition and what's going on with the football program. So, and also the press conference that we had Chauncey Magwood, transfer coming from Kentucky, and he
Ooh.
gave in a little bit of insight of what the offense is going on. And it's been an interesting spring so far, and we're just 2 days away from
Oh, yeah.
kicking off spring football game. So, pretty excited about that.
Yeah, how excited are you for the UCF spring football game? Like, who are you looking at watching the most, and what are you most excited about?
Oh man, it's a pretty broad question. But if I had to really pick what I'm most excited about, it's got to be the passing game. Has to be the passing game because I know what the team is capable of doing on the ground. You got guys like RJ Harvey. You got guys, like I'm sure you guys have heard DeMarcus Bowman before. Being
Oh,
from
yeah.
Cleveland. So
Yeah, yeah.
so you got those guys back there, right? And what they did last year, obviously the offensive line is not what it was last year because had guys transfer out and leave to the NFL. But the bottom line is if we can throw the ball and get it downfield, spread it, get it to guys like Javon Baker,
Yeah.
Kobe Hudson, this is going to be a very exciting offense. And I think that's really the bottom line for Friday's spring game is seeing the ball fly.
Yeah, man. Knots versus Knights this Friday. It's going to be exciting times. I already saw Trace kind of posting a picture of the field as they're spray painting and all that good stuff. Now, we'll get more into football and other sports like that. But, we want to ask questions about you personally. We appreciate you for coming on the show. And one of our first questions for you would be, how were you able to join the Sons of UCF crew?
Oh, that's an interesting story. And you guys are actually the first people to ask me how this all went down because it all started with an email to not even them. It wasn't them. So I was very interested because they had a guest come on. I don't know if you guys remember the Spanish broadcasters. They came on the Sons of UCF, and their clips went viral for broadcasting in Spanish and making the calls in Spanish. And I was like, okay, because I know Spanish, and I'm actually one of my majors is Spanish. And I was like, wow, like I like to call games in Spanish and get in the booth and kind of see what goes on behind the scenes. And I got in contact with Carlo Borges, and he was on the Sons of UCF that week prior to the Cincinnati game. And we communicated, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, sure, come on onto the broadcasting booth. We'll show you around." And I was like, "Oh, this is pretty neat." So I got the opportunity to go and broadcast with the Spanish team. And then after that, uh, Carlos subtly he said, "Hey, you might want to message the guys over at Sons of UCF." I didn't know what for. I did not know exactly what they wanted me for, but I did it. Turned out to be one of the best decisions. I love the guys. Adam, Mike, I mean Trace, they've been phenomenal ever since I joined, and it's been a ride. This is like back in October, so
Yeah.
I've kind of been slowly kind of integrating myself into UCF Twitter and breaking news and stuff. So
Yeah, I know you're one of those reliable sources we got on there. I always see you posting. I'm like, that's
thank
that
you.
guy right there, Leo. Mike, was a question you got?
Mine's gonna go more into the football season. So, what are your thoughts on the upcoming season for UCF?
My thoughts are that I'm looking at the football team set a goal for wins. I think that's important. I think you have to hit 6 wins. You are coming into the Big 12. You have to kind of make a statement. And I think a statement is saying, hey, I belong in this conference. Getting to a bowl game is huge. You're making a step from, being in the G5 to the P5. So look no more than making a bowl game, So if I'm looking forward to UCF this season is making sure we win the games that we're supposed to win. So
Exactly.
getting those wins, a lot of people might think, oh well, Boise State, that's a tricky game. I think that's a very winnable game if you
Mhm.
really, think about it. But there's a lot of tough games on the schedule. We got to go to Oklahoma. We have to face teams like Cincinnati at Cincinnati. Those are really tough games. So uh, we'll see. But yeah, just looking forward to winning those games that we're supposed to win. That's really the bottom line for me.
Yeah. We were grateful enough to have UCF football updates on at one point, and he gave us a lot of good insight. And one of our insights for you was, with him, he kind of predicted we have like 8 wins or 6 to 8 wins. So for you, Leo, what would be your ceiling for the team record wise, and what would be your floor for the team record wise?
I want to do a huge little shout out to Alan because I keep up with UCF. He's actually one of the first people that I started interacting on Instagram with for UCF football. So he does some really good content on Instagram. So
Yeah.
shout out to Alan. And for me, man, ceiling for this team, I would say 8 to 9, 8 to 9 wins.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot. I'm hearing a lot of that.
8 to 9 wins is ceiling, which I think it's very realistic
Mhm. Yeah.
to get 8 wins. Now, last year the team had some games where it could have gone kind of either way. Like that Louisville game. I don't know if you guys remember the Louisville game
Yeah.
early on in
Yeah.
the season. It was 2014 forever from the since the second half, since the start of the second half, it was 20-14.
Mhm.
The offense just failed to capitalize over and over and over again. So stuff like that gets corrected in some of these games that we're gonna have moving forward in the season. I think we can achieve those 8 to 9 wins, but ceiling that's got to be it, 8 to 9. Now moving on to the floor, um, I can see the team. I can see the team either going 4-8, 4-8, or even 5-7. I can see that being a
Mhm.
possibility. So 4-8, 5-7. Um, there will be games in there that are trap games that I think that they think that they'll be able to handle. One of those to keep an eye on is West Virginia. When they come to the bounce house, yes, it's a home game. I like to think that the bounce house is one of the best home field advantages in college football. I really do. Last year, obviously, the Louisville game and the Navy game was atrocious. That cannot happen next season. That cannot happen. You have no excuses for that happening. So when West Virginia coming to town, careful with that one, along with some other Big 12 teams that are coming into town. You got to really, you know, tiptoe.
Yeah, and that's very, very valid to say. And with these big teams coming into our territory, how are you feeling about the tailgating scene, and how are you feeling about just the bounce house in general getting a little bouncy?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail. It's gonna feel real bouncy because the thing is, the P5 status for UCF is going to be such a huge help just because, now you don't have G5 teams like, for example, nobody's going to come watch, I don't know, Memphis at home. They're not a team you want to watch, but next thing you know, you got, I don't know, Oklahoma State coming, to
Mhm.
town. That's a big time game, for UCF going to and that will fill the bounce house. So I think you can expect for in-conference games the bounce house to be packed. I mean, the bounce house has to be sold out every Big 12 conference home game. It has to. Like, there's no excuse. UCF got here, and now that it's here to in P5 status, you have to demonstrate why it belongs, and that also goes for the fan base.
Mhm.
Now, tailgate season, I don't think that's ever a concern here around UCF. That's I mean, that's another big problem. I'm going to go ahead and put the fans on blast real quick because I'm sure you guys have heard it. Fans go to the tailgates, but they don't show up to the games,
Mhm.
or they show up to the games first quarter, second quarter, and they're gone. That has to stop. That has to stop. You guys got to start acting like a P5 football school,
Yeah,
So, you
I
know,
agree.
so you guys, I'm sure you guys been a Ben Hill Griffin?
I've been there, but not at a game. I do know how great of the atmosphere it is. Now you've been
Yeah.
to one, right?
Yeah, I've been to one game there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the atmosphere, it doesn't really matter. You know, outside of the conference, I can get it because sometimes with the FCS opponents, I totally understand those games. But when it comes to in-conference games, Ben Hill is packed first quarter all the way to the fourth,
Hmm.
and especially if it's a good game. So UCF and its fans, they really have to step it up in that department and stay consistent. I think it's the consistency. Even when the team goes kind of on a downslope, just hang in there with the team. That's my opinion on that. So
No, I agree with you 100%. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I fell victim to it. I hope you can forgive me. I had to leave that Navy game. I'm sorry, Leo, but I
oh
had
no,
to.
I mean it also depends because out of frustration, as a fan, being as a fan talking, I probably would have left the Navy game. That's a very infuriating loss.
Yeah.
As a UCF fan, looking at it in that view. But man, I don't blame you. I don't blame you, Nick. So
Thank you.
I
Thank
remember
you.
you getting up and just, I'm out of here. You
It's
just
too hot
left.
for this. Yeah.
yeah.
It's too
Anyways,
hot.
out of all the most exciting games we have this season, what are you most excited for? What school are you most excited for us to play?
I know it might result in a loss, but what it means to the program, UCF, Oklahoma away, that has to be
Mhm.
circled on everybody's calendar.
Yep.
You are making a step to the Big 12, and now you get to travel to Norman and face. I would consider Oklahoma blue blood in college football. So you were in Division II, you were in FCS school in 1996. All of a sudden, in 2023, you're facing Oklahoma in a conference game. That is huge for the school. I'm sure
Yes.
you guys have heard the talk. It's the climax for UCF has come very quick.
Mhm.
So I think Oklahoma game just because of all of what it means facing a blue blood in conference.
Yeah, and I agree. They're one of the biggest powerhouses in all of college football. And on top of that, the Dylan Gabriel
Yep.
situation,
Right.
that would mean a lot if we did get that win in Norman.
Absolutely. You're 100% right. And I didn't mention Dylan Gabriel, obviously, because, he's no longer a part of UCF and whatnot, but he's, I feel like to a lot of UCF fans, it's a little bit of saltiness there. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
This last season was my first season covering UCF, fully. I got to see what UCF football was really about. And the previous year, the when Gabriel got injured, I think it was against the Cincinnati game. He got injured. Um, I I mean, I knew he was gone. I knew he was gone, and it's gonna mean a whole lot if UCF can pull out a W, even though it's highly unlikely. But I'm not gonna doubt the team just yet.
Yeah. We'll need a little bit of a miracle, but I think it can
Yeah,
happen. And on top of
yeah,
that, you did mention how quick of the climax has been for UCF getting there. They are the youngest team to ever make a Power Five conference.
yes.
So that plays a big role in today's game, Michael.
Yeah. There UCF have had its struggles with quarterbacks leaving. What are your thoughts on Mikey Keene leaving?
Oh man, I didn't think you'd ask me that, but I'm glad you did. Just because Mikey, in what I've seen from him, what I saw from him at UCF, I thought he was a good quarterback. I really think he's a solid quarterback. There's obviously some things here and there that he needs to fix, but I don't think he's far off from being a prototypical professional NFL quarterback. I don't think so. That might sound wild, and there's a reason he went to Fresno State. I don't know if you guys know, but guess who else came from Fresno State?
Wait. Give me a second. Does he have red hair?
Negative. He's a quarterback in the NFL. He just actually
Yeah.
signed signed a new deal with the Saints.
Yeah, Derek Carr. Yeah.
Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just looking at the landscape of what Fresno State was or and is, they're an air raid offense. And I think Mikey Keene can flourish in that. And he knows he can flourish. That's why he would transfer there in the first place. Um, but I was a little bit down when he left. I thought he could have gave this group of guys and Timmy McClain, Thomas Castellanos, and JRP competition, real good competition. Just because now that Darren Hinshaw wants to spread the ball and throw the ball around,
Mhm.
we saw what Mikey could do while he was QB, and I thought he would have fit the Hinshaw offense. Although we haven't really seen a lot of McClain and Castellanos throw the ball in this offense, and obviously everything's going to change because of the new offensive coordinator and whatnot. So there's still a lot to be seen. But as far as Mikey Keene, I was a little sad about him leaving, but I wish him the best of luck at Fresno State, and hopefully he makes it to the next level.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
with Henshaw throwing the ball, that's the kind of offense I love. I love just the air raid. I love the ball in the air, throwing the ball, and throughout the season, JRP has struggled being a little consistent with throwing the ball. So
Right.
I'm hoping that that works out. And with Henshaw, being a UCF alum, I feel like that's a great addition to the coaching staff. How are you feeling about Henshaw in general?
I mean, what he's telling us at the press conferences, it's encouraging. I think that when he says he's working on the principles and on just the simple things from the quarterback, where it's moving in the pocket, working on your footwork, um, staying poised in the pocket, which is something the quarterback struggled with last year. Even Castellanos, he got a little bit of happy feet, and as soon as he felt the rush, it was okay. I got to get out the pocket and extend the play, which is very valid in some cases. But there are cases where you got to just stick in there in the pocket and sling it or make the right decision. It doesn't always have to be a complete pass,
Mm,
but you can either check down to the running back or just get rid of it, get
mm,
rid of it in a smart way. So I think that Hinshaw is really implementing that and making sure that, it's the simple things that are getting done right first. And then, as he's mentioned in his pressers, then install and take the training wheels off the bike and, start doing little tricks and whatnot. So that's he's I think he's got a good plan going into the season, and I'm excited to see what quarterback he picks because ultimately, believe it or not, from my sources, he's the one in charge of picking that quarterback, that QB1. So
interesting. Yeah, it's cool to see him have that power in that sense. And with you being in press conferences and a lot of things, you've talked with some cool people. If you guys don't already know, Sons of UCF, the podcast slash brand, whatever you want to call it, that Leo gets to work for, in my opinion, I think in a lot of people's opinion, the best source of UCF news out there for show wise and everything like that. So with Sons of UCF, you had the great honor and privilege of interviewing Shaquem Griffin. And
yeah,
me and Mike got to ask you right now, how was that experience?
I mean, I've said it repetitively to people. He's one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet. Like that is the first impression you get of Shaquem Griffin. He's a giant teddy bear, man. Like, yeah, he played linebacker in the NFL, and he'll pack a punch if he needs to. But guess what? He's a genuine human being. For just giving me the time to, it was only 8 minutes that he gave me, and he was willing to do it. He also came to school to talk to people with disabilities, and how important it is to persevere and through all that adversity in his life story. So yeah, I mean, Shaquem Griffin, that opportunity, that was great, and I didn't shy away from it. I knew this would be a good opportunity, not only for myself, but for the Sons of UCF and having his name linked to us. It's great.
Awesome, awesome stuff. Michael?
Yeah, since you mentioned Shaquem Griffin, I want to ask you, are there any other cool experiences or players you've met, coaches even
I mean, and as far as UCF or just in general,
in
oh,
general?
in sports. Oh man. Well, when I was a little kid, I don't know if this counts, but this will always stick in my memory. I met Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter at a Rays game. So
That's
Oh,
cool. That's
wow.
really cool.
that's I was 12. I was 12 at the time, but I tell you that was one of the most unforgettable experiences. I'm a huge Yankee fan, for those of you
Cool.
guys who don't know. Um, so yeah, that was as far as UCF is concerned though. JRP, man, let me tell you, that guy, he gets a lot of criticism, and I'm gonna be unbiased, deservingly so sometimes because of his play on the field. Maybe not all his fault, but he's a great guy too. Just like Shaquem Griffin, he's a genuine guy. He's for the people, and he's a tremendous athlete on top of all that. So just getting to meet him too was a cool experience.
Little JRP hype. And with you talking about Derek Jeter and A-Rod, did they get your autograph?
I have a back. It's it at my actually my parents. I told you my parents are from Lakeland, so it's back at my parents' house. He has a little box and the balls signed.
That's
So,
awesome. But did they get your autograph?
oh no, not mine. Hey, I'm not. Hey, I didn't think I would end up being the popular image I am now, but it's all good.
Oh man, that's awesome stuff. So we talked about this a little bit before you joined, just clearing up the air. What do you hate most about USF?
All right, well, I'm gonna keep it PG, man.
That's hard to do with
So,
USF.
you know what? I think being in Tampa, I think that's the main thing is that they are the University of South Florida, yet they are in Tampa. That's literally my only pet peeve with USF. But other than that, I don't really have much to say about it just because um, I grew up a Gator fan. And this is another thing I wanted to add on, guys. I've kind of, been all around the state. I was at UF. I was at FAU before I came here to UCF. So
Mhm.
I have a very broad spectrum of opinions. I'm not biased. So, UF is going to get the smoke too, like USF, everybody's going to get the smoke. FAU, if something's going wrong, I'm not going to be biased about it. I will say what's going wrong. I'm not, I think that's what makes me, um, I wouldn't say better than the rest, but just a little bit of unbiased because I see a lot of maybe journalists that kind of have a self-attachment to the school that they're covering or whatever. And
Mhm.
yeah, I might say we and all that, but on the inside, everybody has a fan base that, a team that they support. So,
Yeah.
you know,
It's good to have that mentality because in journalism, you need people that are willing to give you the facts despite them maybe going to that school or being a fan,
right.
deep down. And the only things that me and Michael can be biased about on the show is the guests we have. I think that we're pretty biased towards our guest. But I will say that anytime that me and Mike might be a little bit biased on here, it's all a joke, especially with UCF. I think we could be
I
very
got you.
biased about that. But man, we respect you 100% for the work that you do with being unbiased and giving the facts straight up. And yeah, and you gave the straight up facts about USF. I mean,
Yeah.
they're UCF. We're Tampa's hometown team too. UCF is.
Yeah, straight up. That's how it is. But um, obviously, like you guys said, being biased is, sometimes it's fun, and sometimes it's a joke. So hopefully people don't take it too hard. But yeah, I like to keep things when it gets serious, when things, you know, I'm not gonna mention this quite yet. Maybe you guys are gonna bring it up, but things going on in the baseball program at UCF, stuff like that things that are being done wrong, not just at that level, but maybe the team isn't performing how they're supposed to. Like you have to call it how it is, and you also have to ask those hard questions. Why is the team performing the way it's performing? So yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah. So while we're on the topic of USF, why are you feeling on the rivalry coming to an end for now? Maybe not in the future, but for now, for the next couple of seasons, how do you feel about that?
I think it's good. Yeah, I know a lot of people might not think that. Yeah, it's the proximity,
Mhm.
Tampa, Orlando, and whatnot. But just to give the rivalry a break, the rivalry just, I think it's kind of one-sided when it comes to some sports.
Mhm.
But just to give it a break, I think the rivalry does need a break. I think right now, UCF being dominant for the last however many years in football. Um, Obviously, USF has had some good football years too. Not that they've not had good football years, but um, there's been a lot of domination on UCF. So I think it's time to put it aside.
Mhm.
Time for UCF to focus on the Big 12 and USF just kind of focus on themselves from going from the American to a Power Five conference. So I think that it's good overall.
So it's time to give little bro a break. I think we've been beating
Eh,
up on him a little too much. And like you mentioned, like there are some sports that we are better at than them and they could be better at than us. But I think I saw something now, don't fully quote me. I think it was the last 5 or 7 years, our record wise for every single sport combined, we've beat them by like double digits. Like with all of our records, tennis, golf, blah, 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 blah.
yeah.
So that's very dominant. And that's actually you're actually the first guest UCF related that we've have on that is kind of like, yeah, I'm not gonna miss it that much. And you're completely right. We need
Well,
to and we
yeah.
need to focus on the bigger picture ahead of us. USF's a little bro. Let's leave him in the past. Let's move on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's how I feel about that. And it also differs for every fan because there might be some, attachment from watching the team for however many years, right? And that's just not me. And I admit it. I'm not going to be out here and be like, I'm a UCF fan since 2002, 2003. It's just not who I was and who I am. But uh, I think, yeah, focusing on the big picture is important. It's move on. So,
I
Mhm.
agree. Yeah, Mike, what were you gonna say something?
For the Big 12, who do you think our new big rival is going to be?
oof, I'm going to say Cincinnati, just because there already is history there.
Hmm.
Now, there are other potential rivals on the horizon,
Mhm.
but I just think that with what we've established with Cincinnati in the previous conference, it's it sets up a good rivalry going forward. I see there is a little bit of a grudge there on Twitter, and then fans going back and forth. So
Oh yeah.
it can intensify in the Big 12, and from the looks of it, this home and away every year, hey, it's going to be big. It's going to be big rivalry. So look out for that one. But if you want me to give you a Big 12 rivalry that could be a new one,
Mhm.
for some reason, I want to say West Virginia could be that school that could kind of you
Interesting.
know become a rival. Um, Not really sure what makes me think that. Maybe because it's the most Eastern Big 12 school, if I'm not mistaken. So, I feel like they could, and I don't know. I don't know. I think it's going to be a good matchup. I think West
Yeah.
Virginia and UCF can match up very well. So we'll
I
see.
think so. I think so too. And from being from West Virginia, we have a lot of trash talking to do to them. But I will say, yeah. And how do you feel about them? Kind of like the schedule makers, kind of making it out like our rival might be Houston because we do play them rivalry week, during the schedule. Do you think that that could turn into a rivalry?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised Houston hasn't become like. So if you ask any UCF fan, the consensus would be like they hate Cincinnati more than they hate Houston. They
Hmm.
Mhm.
would tell you that.
Mhm.
So it's kind of surprising that Houston hasn't really formed this, kind of rivalry, intense rivalry with UCF. Not sure exactly why. Maybe because we don't face them constantly every year. That could be it, but I could see it transforming into a rivalry. I think just because of the space programs in Houston and in Orlando, in Cape Canaveral,
It's
I think
true.
that could be a little bit of a fight. Basketball, on the other hand, is very dominant by Houston, so that's why maybe a little bit there's a little bit of backing off by UCF fans because if we take in a spectrum, I think all sports, football, basketball, and baseball, picking a rivalry with Houston is tough. We might be the little brothers there, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know it's dangerous because they're also a respectable football program. Obviously, UCF has had more success in recent years. And when Tom Herman was at Houston, he was a good coach, and led Houston to some really good seasons. But UCF has been the most successful football. Now basketball, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a little frustrating there, but yeah.
Now I'll touch on that in just a second, but I do want to say that I kind of this is me personally. I feel it's dumb that we're not put up against Cincinnati in the rivalry because we've had that going for a while, and then on top of that, I feel like Houston and Texas Tech could be a little bit better with proximity wise and playing each other. I feel like that would have been a way better matchup. But you did mention basketball, and I have to say how are you feeling about the Big 12 basketball team going from like UCF being in the American, and now we're playing in the Big 12, arguably the best basketball conference that there is. How are you feeling about that?
It's not a good feeling, I'll tell you that much. Um, Quite concerning the fact that I don't know if you guys have been keeping up, but there's been a lot of transfers out of the
Mhm.
program, and it could be very ugly if we don't kind of rebuild in a rapid manner because we got teams attacking the portal quickly now, and we have to also attack the portal quickly, or else we're going to run out of quality. Next thing you know, we're going to go into the Big 12 with a subpar roster that might not get 10 wins.
Yep.
And that's not out of reach, for UCF. I think we're looking about a 10-win season, maybe even less if things don't go the right way in the off season. Um, Now a lot of this does not fall on Johnny Dawkins. The school also needs to kind of support and do NIL work. He also released a video yesterday about donating into the Kingdom NIL and all that, which is good stuff. But there is not much excitement about basketball in the basketball program here, so that's very concerning. And this team could become a punching bag if they don't take care of business. And I'm a little bit concerned about that. So it's not a good feeling joining the Big 12. On the bright side of things, I'll be a little bit positive here. I think that moving to the Big 12 could potentially help recruiting moving forward. Going against better competition. You're not in the American anymore, even though American has two really good teams in Memphis and Houston.
Mhm.
Now you're going against Kansas of the world, the Iowa States. It's a big deal now. It's premier conference, just like you said, Nick. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a good feeling, but it's going to be a rough ride the first few years, and I will say that um, just buckle up, UCF fans. 'Cause
Yeah, and I was telling Michael and most of my friends that I see at UCF and stuff like that. I won't be surprised if they get 10 wins or less, just exactly like you said. And you hit the nail on, the school supporting it more. I remember going to a game, I think it was on Sunday at like 2 p.m. Come on, guys, church is out. You can go to some games.
right,
I went to
right.
a game at 2 p.m. and pretty much empty in the student section. Of course, I made TV, of course, because there wasn't that many people there. So, we need to start going to more of those games, get the boys sport. And like you said, it opens up a world of opportunities for transfers. And on top of that, the increase in money that we will be receiving for our athletic program and for the school in general, that should most definitely help with facilities, coaching payments, if we want to make some moves there, and certain things like that. So that's obviously big. So are you kind of are you kind of saying that we should start poo?
Oh man, fan favorite right there. I would I would give Pooh a six-man position if I were the coach. I think no serious talk. Pooh. I think he offers good spirit to the team, and that's always important. I don't think a lot of people realize how important that is. Like to have somebody like Pooh on your team, it goes a long way mentally, and relationship wise. Um, but yeah, he played at Montverde. I mean, come on now. Let's be real, guys. That's not a high school basketball program that's for scrubs. Like
Yeah,
top
yeah.
the Montverde. So he knows what he's doing out there on the court. So shout out to Pooh, man. I hope he stays the rest of his career here at UCF.
Yeah, shout out to him for
Yeah.
sure. I'm glad you got that mentality about him. He's a great guy. Michael?
Yeah. Now moving on to baseball. What are your thoughts on this season? How do you think we're doing, in your opinion?
Guys, I might be, a little bit pessimistic here, but the season's kind of over. It's kind of a wrap, and you have to start thinking the way the team is performing now. Yeah, they could turn it around, but we've also been hearing from head coach Lovelady. Yeah, well, we could, we just got to turn it around. It's all about the process. Next game mentality. But there hasn't been a turn yet. So at this point of the season, we're just a little bit over halfway of the season, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You are who you are. You are who you are as a team. I mean, for us, for UCF to turn it around, they really got to come on. They really have to turn it up. Now we're talking about stealing series away to USF, a team that won a series at UCF. Going to Houston, going there and stealing a series. Um, you're gonna have to do some miracle work here to kind of turn the season around. And this is all to make a regional. That's what you're really
Yeah.
fighting for. You want to make a regional. That should be the standard for UCF baseball. It absolutely should. And if they don't meet that standard, it's gonna be very sad. Obviously, with all the scrutiny going on around the baseball program, but yeah, the season's not looking good. My opinion is they are who they are. You look at the numbers. Um, I would say 10 days ago, 10 games ago for UCF. If you look at their batting averages, you can see a very, very steep decline, very steep decline in batting average. And I'm not sure exactly what happened there. If there's just something, not clicking mentally or
Mhm.
whatever it is, maybe the allegations with the program and whatnot. I'm not sure, but you could just tell that it's not trending upwards. So it's gonna be sad seeing UCF baseball ending the season on a bad note. But like you guys said, baseball, anything can happen.
Yep.
So come around tournament time, come around AAC tournament time, could they make a run? Yeah, they could make a run, but they're like I said, they're gonna have to put in some work.
Do you think that Citronaut Saturdays are a cause of this?
Oof. If you left it up to me, I'd get rid of those uniforms and all. I think once a year is sufficient. Citronaut Saturday could have been just a 1 year thing, one game thing, right, for the season, and leave it at that, and stick to the Knights, stick to the Pegasus, and keep it pushing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and the uniforms aren't bad looking. Like I think they look cool in my opinion, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's nothing to do with the uniforms. Even though as much as we want to blame the uniforms, um, yeah, it's yeah, I don't think Citroen on Saturdays should have been Saturdays. It should have just been one Saturday.
Yeah. Or maybe like one
Yeah,
Saturday every month. Maybe.
yeah, just on special dates, like, oh, we have, Citronaut Day today, and then I don't know, just make it a little bit, spread out. Don't do it every Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you were a student at UCF and you graduated from UCF, right?
Negative. I'm still at UCF.
Oh, you're still at UCF. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. So I graduate in December.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, either way, what's your favorite thing to do at UCF?
Oof. Favorite thing to do at UCF. Let's see. Let's see. Wow. I'm such a bad student. Dude, I find myself, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I find myself going to class and leaving campus immediately. That's
Oh,
that's
really?
uh that's me. But the times that I've been like that I've hung out at UCF for, maybe after hours, I go to Memory Mall, do some activities with clubs out there. Um, obviously I like some of my classes. The library is always a good hangout spot to study,
Great thing.
but yeah, student union, you know. But yeah, I really find myself going to campus, going to class, and getting on my getting in my car and coming back to the house. But as far as going to sporting events, obviously, being in the Edition Financial Arena, being in the Bounce House, that's all great. Being around all the sporting events. But if I had to pick one thing, it took me a minute to think of this one, but I love Burger U. I love eating at Burger U.
Great, great place. What about Gringos?
Oh, Gringos, that's a
Okay.
classic. That's a staple. That is a staple. That's actually one of the first few things that I got introduced to when I came to UCF was Gringos.
Great first impressions there. And so Leo, what are you majoring in?
Two majors. So I'm doing journalism and Spanish. So.
Awesome. There we go. That's great stuff. Michael, do you have a question?
No, I'm good on
No?
that.
Okay, so yeah, one of my next questions for you would be just kind of tell us what it's like to be inside of each press conference room.
Man, it's I'll tell you what it was like when I first went into one. Because it's changed so much. My perception of press conferences have changed from the first time I went to one to now.
Mhm.
First one was, man, it was intimidating. Like you're going to press conference interviewing Johnny Dawkins, who played in the NBA, now is coaching Division I basketball for however many years. You got Taylor Hendricks in front of you. You got a perennial, first round pick, and you got to make sure you're asking the right questions. You don't want to go in there, asking nonsense. So yeah, I'm going in there in my first press conference. I'm making sure I don't look like a fool. So obviously it's a little bit nerve wracking the first few times. Once you've been to 10 plus, it's kind of like muscle memory. You feel like you're a part of the beat. You make friends with, all the journalists around you, who are great. I have nothing but respect to those guys like Jason Beatty. He's phenomenal. Um, and yeah, now to me, it feels amazing. Like, like just being in a press conference, talking sports with coaches, players, asking them the questions fans have on their in their minds. I think that's important too. When I'm there, I'm always thinking, okay, what would the fan want to know? Obviously, there's a little bit of a gray line because obviously fans want to know what plays and certain details, but you can't. So you got to kind of work the questions in how they would like to answer because that's ultimately what it is. You want to ask questions that uh, the coaches are going to be comfortable answering. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's great overall.
Man, that's awesome. And you're kind of the first journalist that we were able to have on, and I love it. Like that is something that I'm kind of exploring myself, and to hear you be able to, say it's kind of nerve-wracking, you don't know what you're getting yourself into, and you ask the hard questions, you get it done, Leo, and we love seeing it. But yeah, Michael, what were you gonna say?
Were you able to go to the NFL Pro Day this year?
Yes, I was
What was that like?
that was probably a peak experience. I've done a lot of neat things since I joined the Suns, and that was really, really unique. Just being around NFL scouts, it's a serious environment. The players are locked in. You see how serious they are when they line up for the 40, doing shuttle sprints and all that. And it's their careers on the line pretty much. They're working for a chance of getting drafted. So it was really cool seeing guys like Montavo, Devod Wilson out there. Those are players that have a great chance of, having a good career, and Alex Ward as well. So no, there's a lot of UCF Knights that could have long NFL careers if they apply themselves. So
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome stuff. And I mean, that's just so amazing that you were able to go to that. Um, if we could get back, like you're kind of mentioning the NFL Pro Day, one more question I kind of have about football. So the first time I kind of really saw you, there was a UCF Knights thing where they were talking about hot takes, right? And I said JRP is winning Heisman. Obviously that was that was kind of a joke. I didn't actually think that, but and I gotta respect you for just shaking your head no and immediately moving on. That's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine in itself. But my question to you would be, how well do you actually see him playing this season, and could you see another QB maybe coming in for him?
So with JRP is if he does make the strides that he needs to, I don't discard that players can improve in the offseason. I really don't. I think that if JRP actually put in the work in the offseason and improved, and Hinshaw is putting him in the right position to succeed, I think he's the right man for the job. Why not, right? There's obviously a lot of work that needs to be done, and he's working hand in hand with him. But JRP, man, he can be QB1 for the rest of the season if he wants. I also see it from the point if he does start doing bad, right? He is still somebody that can contribute to the football team. I don't care if, let's say he starts off with a really bad slump, he's throwing interceptions, throwing the ball over, just not throwing the ball well. You have to make the call as an offensive coordinator in Hinshaw. You see him struggling. I think it's time to move on to QB2 to see what he's got, right?
Mhm.
But JRP can contribute in other ways. And I really hope this does not go past any of the coaches' heads. You line him up at a slot receiver position or, put him in motion, a gadget guy, he can get the job done. He's got legs. Why couldn't he be a running back? He could definitely be a trick play running back if he wants to. Run a wildcat. He can definitely be a contributor. So just because things go south, for example, for JRP, if they go south, there's no reason he should hang his head. He can still contribute. And I think Coach Hinshaw knows that. But yeah, JRP, if he works hard and he gets things done, I think he could be QB1 the rest of the year. But we'll see.
Yeah, awesome stuff. He has great work ethic, especially playing baseball and
Definitely.
playing football. It's really cool to see. And this is more of a personal question. I was able to see that you were an Army like veteran, and
Yeah.
I just want to first off say thank you for your service. And also, I just wanted to ask, what did you do inside of the Army?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the support. Every time somebody says that, it's not common people say that, so I really appreciate that, Nick. Yeah, I served in the Army for 4 years. I was a logistician. Basically, I was in charge of moving supplies from point A to point B. It's probably the best, most simple way I can describe it. And I got to meet some really cool people and had some really neat experiences and traveling in the Army. So definitely don't regret that. So, a lot of people might see me. They might think, oh, yeah, he's just a college student, 21, 22. But, in reality, I'm a little older than that. But yeah, but no, it feels great. Just, being in college, having the opportunity to, leave the military and focus on my education and finding something that I love doing, which is this, and, being able to do it with you guys. So,
Oh, thank you, man. That making me blush over here for sure. But I will say, other than seeing that you're an Army vet, I was also able to see that you are a New York Giants fan, and you're kind of liking some New York teams. How are you feeling about the Giants season?
the Giants this year, it's gonna be tricky because obviously we made the step forward this past season. We made the playoffs, we won a playoff game, coach of the year in Brian Dable. That's all great, right? So let's not go into this next season thinking that it's gonna be sunshine and rainbows immediately just because that you had that one season. We gave Daniel Jones a good contract. All right, now show us that you're worth the money. So I think he does. I think he does show us that he's worth that money. But you know what? I'm just gonna eat my words. I think he will show us. And if he doesn't, you guys can, put this up on the internet and put me on full tweet take right here. But I do think DJ will show that he is worth that money. He's a serious guy. He's about his business. So
All right, all right.
That's
I like hearing
interesting.
that.
That's
And
interesting.
I know you may start to kind of like us, but Michael here.
I'm a huge Boston fan.
ah,
I'm a
so
huge
you're
Boston fan.
you're a Patriots fan, right?
Yep.
Ah, it's all good. I have nothing against the Patriots. Beat twice in the Super Bowl. There's nothing there that I,
Got that on us. I'll admit.
Two
Yep.
Super
yeah,
Bowl wins.
yeah, I could easily hate, Boston and Tom Brady and whatnot just because of my love for the Yankees and I hate the Red Sox and all that. But
Yep.
really, you know what? Shout out to the GOAT. I do admit that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. So, yeah, and I mean, respect to New England because you know what? Bill Belichick is one of my favorite all-time coaches because he coached the Giants back in '86
Yep.
and '90 as a defensive coordinator. So he has a special place in my heart. So
Tom Brady and then Eli Manning, I'm sure for Leo. But what I will say is my last question before we let you go. I'm kind of starting to ask a few of the guests this because I think it's a cool question. Who is the most famous contact in your phone?
most famous contact. Wow. Let's see. Wow, you got me thinking on this one. I could say two. I could say two. I
All
could
right.
say either Shaquem Griffin or Trace Chalco.
That's cool.
Hey, that made me almost
Trace,
that made me almost forget one of my questions. So today he posted on or Sons of UCF. I don't know who posted it, but they were like, "Hey, we're doing this live stream tonight. Comment some questions, right?" So I gotta hit him with a question that's kind of
right,
goofy,
right.
whatever. So I say like, "What's it like to be so gosh darn legendary?" Asking for a friend, and Trace replies with a question mark, and I'm like, "Okay, maybe I don't know." So then I say, "What's it like to be a legend in the UCF community?" And he says, "Nah, like nah, period."
You know,
And
if there's one thing about Trace is his humbleness will just shine over everything. But
so it's not that Trace doesn't like me, right?
no, 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 no. Yeah, no, yeah, knowing Trace, no, it's not that. He's very simple with his words. He gets things across very, in a timely manner. So, he doesn't ramble on. He'll just nah, yes, no, okay. Not that. He's straightforward, very, very straightforward.
Great
So
guy,
I
and
appreciate
he's always having Seinfeld, trivia, and I always just want to comment Seinfeld for every single one of them,
that.
but but I contain the urges and I move on. But that's gonna do it for this special episode with Leo Rodriguez, one of he's on one of the biggest podcasts for UCF, a bigger sports podcast that's out there slash show, whatever you want to call it. And with him, we got to talk about his journalism and everything like that. And we respect you so much. And I just want to say on the podcast, he's been very helpful with getting back and forth between us, and he's also it's been very, very nice to me, and I really appreciate that. And for you to come on our show and give up your time, it really means the world to us. So Michael, do you have anything else you want to say?
Just thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for your service. And it's great having you on, and we hope to have you on in the future.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys for having me on.
Yeah, of course.